So we are in Genesis 48, 49, and 50. Let's see how far we go on them. Right. Tonight, I want you to read. Somebody take it from your end. Ostensibly, Felicia is only that I see that has that is online. Can you read for us Genesis chapter 48? You are not going to read all. You take half of it. Half of it will be about 11. 1 to 11.
Line is Friday. I'm just coming, please.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, don't worry. Let me see what I will do. Gino, do you have your Bible there? Read 1 to 11.
Genesis
1 to 11. When you finish, Mama will read 12 to 22.
Genesis 48, 1 to 11. And it came to pass after these things that one told Joseph, Behold, thy father is sick, and he took with him his 2 sons, Manasseh and Ephraim. And one told Jacob and said, Behold, thy son Joseph cometh unto thee. And Israel strengthened himself and sat upon the bed. And Jacob said unto Joseph, El Shaddai appeared unto me at Luz in the land of Canaan, and blessed me, and said unto me, Behold, I will make thee fruitful, and multiply thee, and I will make of thee a multitude of people, and will give this land to thy seed after thee for an everlasting possession. And now thy 2 sons, Ephraim and Manasseh, which were born unto thee in the land of Egypt, before I came unto thee into Egypt, are mine, as Reuben and Simeon, they shall be mine. And they issue which thou begettest after them shall be thine, and shall be called after the name of thy brethren in their inheritance. And as for me, when I came from Padan, Rachel died by me in the land of Canaan in the way, when yet there was by a little way to come unto Euphrates. And I buried her there in the way of Euphrates. The same is Bethlehem. And Israel beheld Joseph's son, and said, Who are these? And Joseph said unto his father, They are my sons, whom Father had given me in this place. And he said, Bring them, I pray thee, unto me, and I will bless them. Now the eyes of Israel were dim for age, so that he could not see. And he brought them near unto him, and he kissed them and embraced them. And Israel said unto Joseph, I had not thought to see thy face, and lo, Father hath showed me also thy seed.
Okay, that's all right. Up to 11, Mama will take 12 to 22 there. But before then, here we enter Jacob's and 12 of his children. They have settled. They have been, granted stay in the land of Egypt, in the land of Ham, without any bargain, without any application. This is the working of Yahweh. If they were to go into that land on their own, they will enter into agreement, they will enter into application, how they will get passport, visa, and they will negotiate whether they will stay 1 month or 2 months or 1 year, or 5 years or 10 years. But here they have to stay for 400 years. And we are told that there were some years on top of it, about 30 years. So before then, Yahweh had to make a preparation for Israel to go into the land. And things that man considers good and bad came along the line during this preparation. And in the eyes of Yahweh, he allowed whatever that was allowable to happen so that his plans will be accomplished. The plan of man is not the plan of Yahweh. And when Yahweh is executing his plan, all you need to do is to continue to trust him, because the whole thing is his packaging. Jacob may know or may have idea of what was going on, but not to the point he would be going to Egypt, to stay there forever, and even die there, and his remains brought back into the land of Canaan for burial. He may have heard the story of what transpired between Yahweh and Abraham, that the seed of Abraham will go to Egypt, and after some time they will come back. To the point how he will go there, he didn't know. It wasn't disclosed to him. But there, in his own life and his own time, Yahweh began to work it out through him, through his children, and his children were the ones that will go there. And the offspring of his later on will remain there until the due time is ascertained. Then they will be back. Now, Pharaoh had granted him a place in the land of Goshen to stay. And he was living in the land of Goshen, a place that was flourishing because of his sheep, cattle, and all the animals, because they were herdsmen, they were agrarian people. And Yahweh made that in order to separate his people from the Gentiles. The Gentiles must be separated from the hidden world. That is one thing we must know. In the journey of Hebrews into the land of Ham, they were separated from the hidden people. So they lived in the land of Goshen, which is Yahweh's own place for his own people. Now, having settled, they had lived there, and the time has come. The old man was going. He was lying in his sick bed. And the news got to Joseph. Your father is sick. What did he do? He left the business of Egypt. He left everything he was doing. Children, as soon as they hear about their parents, they must know what is going on, good or bad, and they must make themselves available. So he made himself available. There were other children of Jacob who were in the Goshen, land of Goshen. They were there. They were rallying around his father. But this special son, as soon as he heard it, he quickly ran to his father, taking his two children. The Bible said he took two of his children, Manasseh and Ephraim. And they got to Joseph. He got to the father, and the father was happy to see him, as we saw there, and that strengthened Israel. Seeing Joseph, each time it's like Joseph is a miracle son of Jacob. Each time he showed up, the man will be revived. The man will be alive, even if he's sick. So he was pleased to see him and the children, and he sat him down, as a father will do. He began to describe his life to Joseph. That is a summary you see in verses 3, 4, and 5. He described how Yahweh had led him. He must have touched Abraham, Isaac. Then to himself, how Yahweh appeared to him in Bethel, Luz. Yahweh appeared to him when he was running away from his brother, quite all right. Esau was about to kill him because Esau thought he has taken his birthright and he has taken the whatever the blessings that Yahweh had pronounced from Abraham, Isaac, has taken it away. So he was angry. He must die so that he will repossess the blessings and his birthright. But that was not to be. So Yahweh led him and helped him all through his journey, saved him when he was coming back from Padanaram, which is in the land of, in the house of Laban. Now, also Esau would have killed him, but Yahweh prevented him from doing that. Saved him, brought him into the land of Canaan, and blessed him there. And the part of the blessing is what he told his son, said to him, "Behold, I will make thee fruitful and multiply thee, and I will make of thee a multitude of people, and will give this land to thy seed after thee for an everlasting possession." This statement didn't come up here for the first time. We had it said to Abraham, we had it said to Isaac, and Yahweh also, when he was running away, mentioned or said it to his ears. So he became a carrier because it's transfer of, the blessings of Yahweh. One from the father to the son, to the son to the seed, generation upon generation. That is how it goes. The blessings continue. So Yahweh told him, you will bear fruit. I will bless that fruit. I will multiply that fruit. I will make you multitude of people. You, Jacob, we are multitude of people. So in the eyes and the ears of Joseph, listening to the father, Jacob was confirming that what Yahweh said to him, he has begun to do that. He is a recipient, a benefactor of what Yahweh has instituted in the family of Abraham. So he is, taking that inheritance. And by the way, why was he telling him this? Why didn't just Jacob mention this to the other 11 children? Why Joseph? We are going to see in chapter 49, when Jacob will be blessing his children, how this was the issue, why Joseph must be the one he would tell this particular story, and why it's important for him to know about it. Because the firstborn, the office of firstborn is to be transferred. Remember, it should have gotten to Reuben, the firstborn. He couldn't get to Reuben. Couldn't get to Simeon either. It couldn't get to Levi, the third one. Now, Judah was there as well. He didn't tell Judah, he didn't narrate this to Judah, the fourth person, and others. He waited until Joseph, heard about his ill health and rushed down, even with his two children. The first position office or firstborn position is about to be flipped through all of them, through 10 of them, to Joseph, the 11th son. That was the reason he took time, sat him down to mention that, what his life history, gave him the picture of his life victory, the family, and told him how he intends to do what he wants to do. Now, the blessing that was bestowed to Abraham is to get to him. That is to Joseph. But by the way, who is Joseph? Joseph now has been defined by the two sons. Every human being must leave a legacy. The legacy is found in the children. Now, these two children are very important to Jacob. The two children will be swapped or be flipped over to Jacob. Jacob will own these two children, not Joseph. These two children will be sons to Jacob. Then who are the sons of Jacob? Joseph at the end of the who will be the sons of Jacob? The father said, the children you are going to get later are going to be yours. But these children are not directly yours now. I'm taking them away from you. They belong to me. Let's read this from verse 4 there, or verse 5. Let's finish that 4. And unto me, behold, I will make the fruitful and multiply thee, and I will make of thee a multitude of people, and will give this land to thy seed after thee for an everlasting possession. Before that, let's look at what he meant by everlasting possession. Genesis chapter 17 verse 8. Somebody read it for me. Genesis chapter 17 verse 8. That's where that statement is coming from. Because this statement, all that Yahweh is doing is to, in each generation, he repeats what he tells, because it's a carryover blessings. His blessing doesn't stop, it doesn't end, provided you keep into obedience. 17:8.
And I will give unto thee and to thy seed after thee the land wherein thou art a stranger, or the land of Canaan, for an everlasting possession, and I will be their father.
For an everlasting possession. But let's see where he started there. Verse 7. And I will establish my covenant between me and thee and thy seed after thee in their generations, for an everlasting covenant. So generations, all the generations of Abraham, Isaac, now Jacob, throughout their life, Yahweh will establish everlasting covenant. Now, like when I was praying, if you had listened very well, this is the core, this is the foundation, this is the faith we profess today. This is the faith Yeshua grabbed that the Jewish people did not understand. Because when they were corrupted and they polluted, when Satan wired them away from the truth, they left where they are coming from. The very promise of Yahweh, they left it and held mixture of doctrine from whatever religion. Now, even today, in fact, in Acts of Apostles, where we read last week, where Paul met those who were professing unknown God, he recalled this issue of the covenant. Because if you don't come to this covenant, anybody listening to you, anybody that is listening to you that does not see you speaking from the covenant angle of Yahweh will see what you are teaching as strange. So those people who were worshiping unknown God, they believed Paul was, giving them doctrine that came from nowhere, or strange doctrine, so to speak. He was giving them strange doctrine. So this is where it all began. And this is what we must do. The whole of Genesis chapter 17 is all about covenant. And the sealing of the covenant was through circumcision. And Yeshua was the final of the power of that circumcision, because by his spirit now our heart is circumcised. To Abraham it was in the physical, to Yeshua it is in the spirit. So both, Yeshua had both physical and spiritual. So that is the seal of this covenant. And we must all be sealed before the final sealing of Israel for their salvation, for their deliverance in these latter days. Now, this is important to let us know that when somebody accosts you or you are speaking about the kingdom, authoritatively, you must be floating on covenant. You are a covenant-based preacher, covenant-based faith professor or faith person. We are, I'm repeating it, we are covenant people. We are not religious people. That is what we are. That is, and the commandment is the content of the covenant. Commandment, that's why we call it covenant commandment. The content, what the covenant contains, is the commandments. So that is what we are. Covenant people or covenant commandment people, covenant commandment keepers. Now, that said, Jacob, addressing this to Joseph, told him, this is the standpoint. And you will continue from here, pass it on to your children, from generation to generation, forever and ever. It's going to be everlasting possession. Because of what? Because of the seed. And because of the land. Because of the seed. If you step out from this covenant, you will miss the seed, and the land will be missed. And that's why when they came out from Egypt, because by that time, after Yahweh would have taught them, after a while, they lost the land. They lost the land. Unfortunately, they were the seed, but the main seed, the original seed, hasn't come at that time. Yeshua hasn't come at that time. So they lost the land. So there were no people. We are scattered all over the world. Floating all over the world. Until Yeshua came. At least the seed was established permanently. But the seed would only be, put amongst them, established permanently amongst them, when he comes back physically again to reign over them. By that time, he will now rescue them. Where is he going to rescue them into? To the land. So, he here says that you are going to be people, multitude of people, where you have the seed in control, Yeshua. And you are going to own the land forever. Forever. Meaning that this land called Israel, the physical land called Israel, they will possess. And from here, they will be, call it training, call it cleansing, call it purification, call it for the main land, the original land, the very land in the heart of Yahweh, because the old earth will be wiped out, then Yahweh will bring in the new heaven. The new heaven and the new earth.
Shall we say his kingdom then?
So this is everlasting kingdom. Everlasting kingdom. Which we will have for possession. When they will talk about everlasting possession. When you will talk about everlasting possession, this is it. Because the kingdom here, this earthly kingdom, which when he comes in, he will inaugurate, he will establish Israel, will, in the physical, which also encompasses the earth, will be swept away after 1,000 years rule and so on and so forth, will be swept away because it is prone with sin, iniquity, and everything. It will go. But this new heaven and the new earth will remain forever and ever. By that time, that's a transfer. All the children of Israel who had made it in spirit and in truth, following the same doctrine, following the same covenant way, will inherit it. So it's only the covenant people that will make it into this everlasting kingdom at the end of the day. The new heaven, the new heaven and the new earth. So that is what Yahweh is speaking here. That is what Jacob is communicating to his son here. Now, these two sons are going to be possessor of the firstborn. Is going to be given to Joseph, but shared among the first two sons. So here we see Joseph with his two children, Joseph, Manasseh, and Ephraim. And Ephraim. Manasseh is the senior boy, and Ephraim is the junior. Now something is about to happen. There'll be a flip. And now the two sons, Ephraim and Manasseh, which were born unto thee in the land of Egypt before I came unto thee into Egypt, are mine. Have you seen it? Jacob is claiming ownership of the two sons of his son, Joseph. He meant it. Why did he do that? As Reuben and Simeon, they shall be mine. So as the children, Reuben, Simeon, up to Joseph, are mine directly. These children are also in the same lineage. Directly to me. They are my unborn, as if they come from my womb. Now, the mother, what Jacob was trying to tell Joseph here is that your mother died abruptly by birth, bearing the last born, Benjamin. So she was buried in Ephrata. She died in Ephrata, which is Bethlehem. Now, it was untimely to Jacob. He considered it untimely death. That he perhaps thought or assumed that if that woman had been alive, she would have bare other children, who would have given him at least 2 or 3 or more extra children. But since the mother wasn't there to compensate me, I take these 2 children to be mine. I'm going the way of death, the way of going to rest, with this consolation that these 2 children at the end of the day. Afterwards, whatever you bear as children, take them as yours. Use these 2 children to compensate me to what happened to your mother. Now, that doesn't end there from what Jacob was thinking. Because this is the making of Yahweh. I want to transfer my power, not just to you. Now, it will be given to your seed. The seed that is from you that I'm taking from you. So that the headship of Israel will rest in them. The headship of Israel, the firstborn of Israel will rest in these two children. You are going to be heard, but literally, or at the end of the day, you is them, and they are going to bear the power of Israel. Now, Bible told us, particularly the book of Isaiah, if you open the book of Hosea, if you open the book of Hosea, most times when Yahweh is referring to Israel, the whole Israel, the 10 tribes, later they were 9 tribes, you'll be hearing Ephraim instead of Israel. You'll be hearing Ephraim. Ephraim later became very powerful, very strong, and he took the name of Israel, the name of the 10 tribes.
Sir, if I may comment, how did he say Ephraim has gone to join with the idols? Leave him alone. That is Hosea's
all of them.
system.
Anyway, even today, where are we today? All of us, where we are, if it's not by the grace, that is going whiling away with somebody who leave the covenant. When you leave the covenant, that is it. Leave the covenant way, that is it. The person will enter into religion, and that is idol. And depending on the level of idol, depending on how much patronage, Ephraim patronizes idol so much. It's like Dan chasing idol. So many of them, virtually all of them, because when they left Yahweh and the word of Yahweh, they embraced idol. That's a different area of the discussion altogether. But the truth is, Yahweh says, these children, Jacob said, these children, your children, Joseph, your children are mine, and they are going to continue in your office after you left, and that is the head of Israel. Verse 6, and thy issue, which thou begettest after them, thy issue, thy children, which you bear afterwards, shall be yours, thine, and shall be called after the name of their brethren in their inheritance. And as for me, when I came from Padam, Rachel died. This is the reason he's telling his son, I'm taking your 2 children. Rachel died by me in the land of Canaan, in the way, when yet there was but a little way to come unto Ephrath. It's called Ephrath, the land of Ephrath, which is Bethlehem. I buried her there in the way of Ephrath. The same is Bethlehem. So, just recalling to the son, Joseph, what happened, the experience he had, and lost that woman to death by way of, bearing child. It was agony and a time when he was trying to settle. He was still not settled. He was still a wanderer when it happened to him. And Israel beheld Joseph's sons, and said, who are these? And Joseph said unto his father. By the time he was discussing, these children were out there. So when the children came in, now he said, who are these children? Apparently, Joseph must have heard that Joseph had 2 children, and he was telling Joseph that those children are going to be his. Then those children came in. When they came in, he now heard their voice because his eyes was dim according to the scripture. Now, Joseph introduced the children to him. So it's the time to bless these children. Time to bless these children. Verse 9, and Joseph said unto his father, they are my sons, whom Yahweh has given me in this place, in Egypt. And he said, bring them, I pray thee, unto me, and I will bless them. I will bless these children. These are the children that he was saying they are now his own. Now the eyes of Israel were dim for age, so that he could not see. And he brought them near unto him, and he kissed them, and embraced them. And Israel said unto Joseph, I had not thought to see thy face, and lo, Yahweh has showed me also thy seed. He never in his life thought that he's going to see Joseph again. Not only did Yahweh keep Joseph and showed him Joseph, but even the sons of Joseph, which was a delight to him. And Joseph brought them out from between his knees, and he bowed himself with his face to the earth. Let me read 13 and
Verse 13. And Joseph took them both, Ephraim in his right hand towards Israel's left hand, and Manasseh in his left hand towards Israel's right hand, and brought them near unto him. 14. And Israel stretched out his right hand, and laid it upon Ephraim's head, who was younger, and his left hand upon Manasseh's head, guiding his hands wittingly. For Manasseh was the firstborn. And he blessed Joseph and said, Yahweh, before whom my fathers Abraham and Isaac did walk, the Father which made me all my life long unto this day, the angel which redeemed me from all evil, bless the lads, and let my name be named on them, and the name of my fathers Abraham and Isaac, and let them grow into a multitude in the midst of the earth. And when Joseph saw that his father laid his right hand upon the head of Ephraim, it displeased him, and he held up his father's hand and removed it from Ephraim's head unto Manasseh's head. And Joseph said unto his father, Not so, my father, for this is the firstborn. Put thy right hand upon his head. And his father refused, and said, I know it, my son, I know it. He also shall become a people, and he also shall be great. But truly his younger brother shall be greater than he, and his seed shall become a multitude of nations. And he blessed them that day, saying, In thee shall Israel be blessed, saying, Yahweh make thee as Ephraim and as Manasseh. And he set Ephraim before Manasseh. And Israel said unto Joseph, Behold, I die, but Yahweh shall be with you, and bring you again unto the land of your fathers. 22. Moreover, I have given to thee one portion above thy brethren, which I took out of the hand of the Amorites with my sword and with my bow. Amen.
Hallelujah. Now, the flip has taken place. What happened was, when Jacob called for these sons to be brought in, for him to bless them. Now, the blessing on these children was meant for Joseph. Verse 15 there tells us it was meant for Joseph, but the father was ordaining these children. The blessings of Joseph is being transferred to these children. So Jacob is taking the blessings from Joseph to these two children. Because if he didn't do that, these children will not get the pronouncement that he's putting in place for them to inherit that firstborn portfolio or firstborn position. So the prayer, the blessings, was to transfer it from Joseph to these two children. It is Joseph's blessing, quite all right, but Jacob was doing it himself, moving it to these two children. Now, verse 15, they said, and he blessed Joseph. Did you see that? He blessed Joseph. The blessing was for Joseph. But literally and physically with them, he was also saying, this blessing is for you, Joseph, but I'm shifting it to the children. The children are going to take, at the end of the day, because whatever the father has is for the children. The children inherit it afterwards. The blessings of Joseph is already with him physically. He was enjoying Egypt, and Yahweh was blessing him. And so spiritually and physically, they transfer. What will come later, because the blessings, we are going to see it. Jacob is going to tell his children that he wants to do something, want to bless all of them, and through the pronouncement he's going to make is what is going to showcase what is coming in the latter days. So this is, to the children receiving this blessing, is what is going to happen to them and Israel in the latter days. And what did he still say? This is the transfer of that Yahweh's blessing to Israel. And he reminded his son that this blessing had continued from Abraham, Isaac to himself. And Yahweh, who has taken care of him, right from Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob to himself up to this moment. Also, not only that, the angel, he made mention of angel. The angel which redeemed me from all evil, this angel had followed him. Bless the lads. The angel, bless the lads. Then I was reading this. It wasn't what just happened to Israel that time, but this has gone from Yahweh calling the angel. If you go to Exodus, reflect to Exodus when they were coming, the angel that led them was said to be, that is in Exodus 23, was said to be Yeshua, the rock himself. So it has gone from when at that time Yahweh was leading the patriarchs, Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, to these children. Now look at it, these children being also presented to the angel, invoking the power of the same angel that even met with him to continue. Yeshua, to continue. So as it were in their own days, through Abraham, that to when they were in Egypt, when they were led by Yeshua, they will be led even in these latter days by the angel, the same angel, Yeshua himself. Because he talked about the angel which redeemed me from all evil. Yeshua is a redeemer. That is another name of Yeshua, the title name of Yeshua. Bless the lads. Let the angel, Yeshua, the redeemer, bless the lads, and let my name be named on them. Let my name. So he is saying, these children are going to be Israel. That's what they are today. And this name is carried by these two children, Israel. And the name of my fathers, Abraham and Isaac. So they are bearing, you see, the baton is being released, which Jacob held. And he said, Joseph, my son, I'm giving it to you. And also, I'm taking it from you to your sons. Your sons is going to hold it. So remember, when you are passing the staff of office, don't give it to another person. Pass it on to these two children, because this is the lineage. Here, seed tracing continues. Jacob is simply saying, Joseph, the baton of office, you are my son. These two sons, Manasseh and Ephraim, are my sons as well. So pass this baton, pass this staff of office to them. Don't give it to Reuben. Don't give it to Simeon. Don't give it to Levi. Don't give it to Judah. It belongs to sons of Joseph, Ephraim and Manasseh, the firstborn. It is the staff of firstborn. It's not the staff of the king. the staff of the king will be given to Judah. We are going to see it. The king, the scepter shall not leave Judah. And that is what Yeshua. In fact, at the end of the day, all this staff, all this power, whether of rulership or kingship or priesthood, is going to be held when Shiloh comes to his place. When Yeshua comes to his place. We are going to see it as we go on. Where even Jacob mentioned that. In fact, the time we are, 2,000 years ago, Jacob had predicted it. Even this time we are, Jacob had predicted it. Yeshua is coming. Everything at the end of the day is going to rally around and be led in the hands of Yeshua. With his two hands, he's going to hold this power that he's been pronouncing. Right from Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, everything is going to settle in the hands of Yeshua. But meantime, it's identifying to Joseph that this angel, Redeemer, Yeshua himself, who through the name that he's been going with, would help to bestow the name that is given to Abraham, the power line, the power that is being given, that lineage staff of office from Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob will be passed to these children. And let them grow into a multitude in the midst of the earth, in the midst of the earth, in the whole earth. Israelites are in the whole earth today. And when Joseph saw that his father laid his right hand upon the head of Ephraim, it displeased him, and he held up his father's hand to remove it from Ephraim's head unto Manasseh's head. So to Joseph, he believed that the firstborn will sit at the right hand of the blessing father. The first son will go to the right hand of the blessing father, so that the father's right hand will go straight upon the firstborn. So what Jacob did was to cross his hand. Joseph had positioned the children in seniority. Manasseh to the right and Ephraim to the left. But the father crossed his hands
and change it
to say that the blessing will be transferred, particularly the firstborn position will be held by Ephraim. Will be held squarely. Where you get that, who will hold that rod or the staff of office is Ephraim amongst the two. And as if the father and the son, Joseph and Jacob, was struggling. Oh, father, it's not like that. I know you cannot see, it's not your fault. But I have positioned these children. The first one, your right hand, the junior one, your left hand. That is how it's supposed to. Father is supposed to know now. This is how it's supposed to be. He said, my son, Joseph, I understand. I know. The Spirit was leading him. The Spirit was leading him. It didn't start with them. It didn't start with these two children. All the way from the time of Genesis chapter 5 and 6. Even, 5 and 6 or so. No, 4, 5. You see where who is that? Seth was chosen above Cain. He replaced the position of Cain. Cain has wandered away. Cain has taken to religions. So Yahweh took Seth and replaced Cain. We saw that in the life of Esau and Jacob himself. And we have seen it in the life of these two children. So it had always been. In fact, we saw it in Isaac and Ishmael. Ishmael was the first. Yahweh said, no, it's not going to be Ishmael, it's going to be Isaac. So it has been like that. Would it be that the last shall always be the head? No. It's all about grace. It's all about individual. It's all about the seed. You see, children may come into the family. Anybody can be first. Anybody can be last. To Yahweh is immaterial. It makes sense anyway. He ordains it, he allows it, but it's not a priority. It's not something that you say, oh, it is compulsory, it's a tradition, it's a culture. If you say it's a culture, then you query what Yahweh is doing here. Because Yahweh at times will say that culture, if it's culture, it doesn't follow that way. It doesn't follow that way. So it is by his grace. By his grace, people get what they get. It is by his grace, people tend to merit, the position they merit. It's not compulsory. It's not compulsory. And most times we think it must be our way. 1 Corinthians, read for us 1 Corinthians 15 verse 10. While you open it, I read that verse 19. And his father refused and said, I know it, my son Jacob. I know what you are saying, my son. I know it. He also shall become a people. Who is he saying he shall become a people? Manasseh. And he also shall be great. But truly his younger brother shall be greater than he. Manasseh is going to be great, but his brother is going to be greater than he. And his seed shall become a multitude of nations. Even the seed of Manasseh shall be multitude of nations, shall increase, but his brother is going to be greater than he. Read 1 Corinthians 15:10 for us.
But by the grace of Father, I am what I am, and his grace which was bestowed upon me was not in vain. But I labored more abundantly than they all. Yet not I, but the grace of Father which was with me.
It is always by the grace of Yahweh we do whatever we do. We know whatever we know. We achieve whatever we achieve. We live in whatever, however, provided the person who is receiving the grace of Yahweh must live in accordance to covenant way of Yahweh. Otherwise, the person will miss it. Children in the house, in the family, some are there playing. Some are there playing tricks, game. Some are there. Let us follow Yahweh. Some are let us please our parents. This Yahweh, this covenant way. Let us join them. Yahweh understands. Yahweh knows those who are saying it is covenant way or never, irrespective of what my father and my mother. Some children even outrun their father, outrun their mother in covenant way. That is what Yahweh is looking at. If you are a child, how are you measured? Are you following the footsteps of your father? And the best fellow who will even want to outclass their parents, Yahweh goes after that one. That is the one that is going to get the inheritance or the blessing or the staff of office. That is what is here. Check the children of Jacob. It's only Joseph that outran others. That's of spiritual things. In terms of holding to the covenant. Look at his encounter in Egypt with Potiphar.
Mm-hmm.
His eyes was always on the covenant. How can I sleep with you and offend Yahweh?
Mm-hmm.
How can I sleep with you and lie against Yahweh? How can I sleep with you and betray Yahweh? Everything he was doing was all about how do I hurt Yahweh? If I do this to please myself or to please you, I'm going to destroy my relationship with Yahweh. You think Yahweh is not watching? You think Yahweh is not seeing what the person is thinking in his mind or his head? Yahweh is seeing it. Yahweh is nodding. Yahweh is putting it together. By the time of payback, Yahweh will say, it's you I have chosen. That is what played out in this family. And that is how Yahweh works. That is how Yahweh operates. That is why it is grace. Apostle Paul is saying that whatever I will do or I want to achieve, or it is all by his grace. Because Apostle Paul never removed his eyes in the covenant. And knowing that holding to the covenant way is the way, following Yeshua, the word, the truth, and the life is only way for him, because the covenant is squared. Yeshua is the covenant is Yeshua. So he held to that covenant way. At the end of the day, he ran and outran even Peter, even John. All the disciples that sat with Yeshua, that Yeshua taught every day, Apostle Paul outran them. And that's why he wrote what he wrote. Most of them were not able to read it, or most of them were not able to comprehend it. In fact, Apostle Paul confessed. So he said all that he taught, everything that all of them did were the same. But Paul had a class. He had a class. He was highly elevated spiritually and everything. That's how it goes. Yahweh is watching daily. Yeah, yes and no. You are going out and coming in. How you receive him, how you embrace him, how you defend the covenant way. He is watching every day. So that is what, when Joseph wanted to remove the hand of the father to the, he said, my son, there is something I'm seeing you are not seeing. You can see it there. He said it, verse 19. And his father refused and said to Joseph, I know it, my son. What you want me to do? He said I should remove my hand and put my right one on the Manasseh and put left. No. I know what I'm doing. I know. You don't know. I know. There are things, Father, because it's a gift. And it's also the grace. Every father has a particular grace that the children will not earn. I mean, that is the way Yahweh works. An insight. Yahweh take you into his master bedroom. Yahweh take you into himself to let you know some secrets that other people may not know. Other brothers and sisters may not know. Because you hold there what is in his heart. You hold there the word of his patience in you. So if you are the type that hold the word of his patience, at the end of the day, you are his secret boy, his secret daughter. What he tells you, others don't know, don't hear. So that's why when it was like a struggle between the father and the son, Joseph, Father, do this, my son, I know. What you are trying to do, I know. It's a tradition, but beyond that tradition, there is grace. The grace of Yahweh is telling me to do what I'm doing. You don't understand. Because what I'm doing here is about the future of Israel. Between Manasseh and Ephraim, there is something different you don't understand. There is parity. Only Yahweh sees it. And Yahweh is hinting me to do what I'm doing. So let this junior one take it. I know by our family culture, Manasseh is supposed to take the blessing, take the firstborn of staff of office. But now, Yahweh is changing it. He does it because there is something he sees in Ephraim. Ephraim has taken to idol. Say, allow him, leave him.
Esther 4:6.
All of them took to idol. All of them took to idol. Did he throw Ephraim away? No. Israel became major. And Ephraim became the name of Israel. And the capital of Ephraim became Samaria. Within that time, when they were in that land. And in these latter days, by Ephraim, all of them will be woven together again to be one, both Judah and the tribe of Israel. So it's all about grace. It's all about grace. And verse 21, and Israel said unto Joseph, behold, I die, but Yahweh shall be with you and bring you again unto the land of your fathers. Jacob saw far away and remember what Yahweh said to Abraham. Jacob was not saying it here, it was ordained by Yahweh. I die, all of you will be remembered by Yahweh, and you will be brought back into that land. And besides, his remains will not be left in the land of Egypt, will be taken away. Moreover, I have given to thee one portion above thy brethren, which I took out of the hand of the Amorite with my sword and with my bow. Before Jacob left land of Canaan, he defeated portion of Amorite. And the land of Mamre, where Abraham purchased a burying place for the patriarchs. The tiny land of Mamre, place of burial, and the tiny spot of Amorite, where Jacob himself defeated or conquered the Amorites. Those two tiny lands were what the whole of Israel will say they own in the land of Canaan. Remember, when you talk about the land of Canaan for their possession, it is even from Egypt River Nile to Euphrates. Their eyes was not even seen. But that little, at that time, it was just a promise. And within that promise, they had that small portion of the land. Then, when it began to make sense was when they returned to Egypt. These children came back to Egypt. The offshoot of Jacob came to Egypt. Came to Canaan. Now they began to defeat all these Canaanites, and conquer the land and took major parts of the lands. Though massive portions still remained, and up to today. Unfortunately, even the Mamre and the burial place of Abraham, they lost it because of unbelief, because of living the covenant way. Yahweh had to sack them in the land. And today that place is occupied by the Gentiles. And Yeshua said the Gentile people will continue to occupy that land until he returns. Luke chapter 21. Take from 22, 23 to 24. We read about that. That the Gentile people are occupying that land till today. And they will hold forth until he returns. And the Apostle Paul concurred, if you remember. Apostle Paul concurred in Romans chapter 11, 25, 26 or thereabout. That, when the time of Gentiles expire, Yeshua will come back, and Israelite, the believing Israelite, the covenant following Israelites will be saved. So that is the position about the land and the promise. So the Jacob promise and the invitation of Joseph to release the two children is that at the end of the day, the portfolio of firstborn will be given to Ephraim, and they will, Ephraim will stand in as the first that Reuben lost. So we are going to see how these children lost their position. The first four children lost their position of not earning this firstborn right. Now, let's go to chapter 49. And Jacob called unto his sons. So, after he interacted with Joseph and the children, blessed them and all that, so he called the other ones. See, a child that is going well or has good rapport, good relationship with the father will always be the first to get the father's secrets. Not only know the father's secrets, get the father's blessing. And the father turns to him to give him a greater share, if not all, he has. That is what runs down in this family. And that is human life. And that is how life, Yahweh ordains it anyway. That's how it happens. So after that, others has to come. The other 11 children have to, including Benjamin. They come last. So call them, all of you, 12 of you, come in here. Now, the 2 of you want to bless the 2 of you again. So Joseph is going to get another blessing again. This blessing is for all the family, all the children. The first one has been held between Joseph and Jacob that affected the children of Joseph. But here, he's going to release blessings. And these blessings speak for the later days. It's blessings that is going to pronounce that is going to affect their life, their generations moving forward. And Jacob called unto his sons and said, gather yourselves together that I may tell you that which shall befall you in the last days. Befall you in the last days. The last days could be here, meaning expiry of their stay in Egypt, when they have stayed 400 years, going back to the land of Canaan, staying there, and what will happen to them. And even in the last days, because this is a typological message, even in the, because this last days is, basically talking about last days is last days. So it stretches to the last days, which even this our generation is already into. Verse 2. Gather yourselves together and hear, ye sons of Jacob, all of you now, and hearken unto Israel, your father. Reuben, number one, the first son. Reuben, thou art my, the blessings have started. He's now started pronouncing blessings upon them. Reuben, thou art my firstborn, my might, and the beginning of my strength, the excellency of dignity, and the excellency of power. Unstable as water, thou shalt not excel, because you went up to thy father's bed. Then defilest thou it. He went up to my coach. Went to the father's concubine, slept on the father's bed, defied the father's concubine, and that was it. He got that shot. He will not excel. He will not prosper. He will not move forward like others. If others are bearing children in multiples and in multitudes, his own will be diminishing, or the wives or the family will not be producing as it were. Or when they are even producing, life will be miserable. When somebody is not excelling, it can be even health. The health condition may be terrible of the family. So that, of course, speaks volume. If you look at Genesis 35 verse 22, that was where Reuben committed that abomination. Then good news came. When they were coming back from Egypt in the wilderness, Moses looked at his brother. So, you Reuben, your family is not what it's supposed to be. There's hand of forces of darkness in you. Then he made a pronouncement. Deuteronomy 33:6. He broke this curse. Moses broke this curse. It takes Yahweh's anointed to break a curse made by a parent or an elder or anybody who can pass a curse. So with the anointing in Moses, that Reuben's curse was broken and he was saved. Then on that curse was removed. So that is Reuben. Another person is Simeon, verse 5. And the Levite, together both of them were to share this similar trouble, because it's not blessings to be a curse. And he said, Simeon and the Levi are brethren. They think alike. They behave alike. The two brothers. They conspire alike. Instruments of cruelty are in their habitations. So they're cruel. Oh, my soul, come not into their secret, unto their assembly. My honor, be not thou united. You will be scattered. That's what he's telling them. You'll be scattered, both of you. For in their anger they slew a man, and in their self-will they digged down a wall. Remember Dinah or Dinah when they, raped Dinah? They acted, they acted cruelly. They acted with bitterness. They acted with murder. They murdered the people. So that terrified Jacob. That was perhaps when Jacob recorded that discourse. Verse 7. Caused be their anger, for it was fierce, and their wrath, for it was cruel. I will divide them in Jacob and scatter them in Israel. So in the land of Israel, Simeon was finally absorbed by Judah. Absorbed by Judah. And what happened to Levi? The people of Levi don't have a possession, do they? But Yahweh didn't forget them. He made them priests. So they never had inheritance. So inheritance of Yahweh was their own. They were lucky. So that is what went for them. But at the end of the day, that office was rendered null and void, because sin was really running through, and the human being, human being not prolonging his life as a result of his frailty, as a result of sin. Yahweh needed somebody to occupy that office who will not die, who will be there from eternity to eternity. And that was found in Yeshua. Yeshua came as a human amongst them. So that office was transferred. The office of Melchizedek was transferred, or was, returned from Melchizedek to Yeshua. So the office of that priesthood, officehood that was based on sacrifice, was abolished. As a result, Levi, unless by way of conversion now, which we are called to do, conversion, when we are converted, Yeshua now gives us spirit. We are now led by his spirit. We now become his pastors, his ministers. So that is how we talk about that priesthood something. That office based on sacrifices is taken away, at least for now, until Yeshua returns. But it's written on Yeshua as our high priest. He becomes our high priest. Now, the fourth person is Judah. Judah, thou art he whom thy brethren shall praise. Judah is praised. The name of Judah now becomes praise. Thy hand shall be in the neck of thy enemies. Thy father's children shall bow down before thee. So Judah here is having a remarkable blessings. Judah went off way and slept with a harlot, who later he found out, or was told him, was his daughter-in-law. Remember when we read about that story? All those things we are not brought here. Judah was given. There is something in Judah that Yahweh sees that nobody is seeing. Judah is a lion's whelp from the prey. My son, thou art gone up. He stooped down. He couched as a lion, and as an old lion. Who shall rouse him up? Judah is Judah, lion of the tribe of Judah. Now remember that Jacob here, talking by the Spirit of Yahweh, was watching an events and things that will unfold in the latter days. And if you look at Judah, when they were there as Judah a nation, Judah was powerful, Judah was strong, Judah was fearless, Judah was vocal, Judah was a lion. And in this latter day, Judah is going to be furiously devouring. The scepter shall not depart from Judah. Rod of rule, staff of office, to rule. This is ruling class kind of power. that staff of office that depicts rulership will not depart from Judah, nor a lawgiver from between his feet. Lawgiver, the law, Torah, they are going to continue to carry the Bible as it were, the tablets of Torah, the tablet of the commandments of Yahweh is going to be in the hands of Judah. Who is he referring to? Talking about Yeshua himself. Yeshua himself. Between his feet until Shiloh come, and unto him shall the gathering of the people be. Have you seen why Jacob said, the blessing I'm going to pronounce on you is a record of things that is going to happen or befall on you in the latter days, in the last days. Can you see it here? 2,000 years ago, Yeshua came, the Shiloh came for the first time, and he's coming back again. He's coming back again. And unto him shall the gathering of the people be. Not only people of Israel, because Israel will be everywhere, including all those Israel will gather as companions. The human being that will embrace the way of covenant, the Torah. Judah. So, meanwhile, before Yeshua comes, Judah is going to be custodian of the scriptures, Bible, the word, Torah. When Yeshua came, did he confirm that or not? John chapter 4 verse 22. Salvation is of the Jews. He confirmed that. He confirmed that. So they are still holding Israel. Whatever they preach and tell you, it is from the Gentile Rome. It is from Catholicism. It's from Muslim or Islam. It's from Judaism. It's from Buddha. It's from whatever. You're wasting your time. Look at the Bible. If you don't take this Bible, break it in pieces, allow the Holy Spirit to open your eye to see all the nook and crannies of it, you won't understand where you're coming from and where you're going. You'll just be floating with the Gentile world religion. At the end of the day, the person will miss the mark. The person will not know where he's called and what he's called to do. This is where we are. That verse 10 is very, very important. That everything is held by Judah. They will hold it until Yeshua returns. And good at it, when Yeshua came back the first time, what did he do? He said, this is the truth. He established it. He said, this is all about the salvation that is being pursued. It is held in Judah. Embrace it, follow it. Then what will happen when he returns? Now the scepter will now rest in his hand. That is why it's like the office is held by all the believers now who follow the Gentile with the Torah, with the covenant way, the law that was given, follow it. That covenant will follow it, because when he returns, the scepter, the kingship will be handed to him. The law, righteous way of Yahweh will be handed to him. So he will hold two offices. Two. Office of the kingship and the office of proclaiming the law, the Gentile, the law of Yahweh, as it were. He is going to hold that office, the priesthood office, if you like, going to hold the two offices. So to all people that will be gathered, all unto him will he be their ruler. So to Judah at the moment, the whole thing that Jacob was speaking here is bound within this Judah. Blessings of Judah. Because Yeshua is at the end of it. Then we are going to see Joseph again coming up. But the whole architect, though Joseph we had, in fact, why Joseph is important is about the firstborn of Jacob. Firstborn, who holds the office, who will be the leader, who will lead Israel and all that. That is it. As the one directing the blessings that of Israel and that will flow. But there is this bigger blessings of kingship and kingship and um, and the law, the giver, giver, Yeshua being the lawgiver himself, the kingship here, ruler, being Yeshua himself. Now, if you go to Isaiah will tell you here, Isaiah chapter 2, 1-4 talked about him, that the law goes out from Zion, Jerusalem. And who are the possessors or the owners or the occupiers of Jerusalem? Judah. So that is the capital city. Here, Yahweh is saying the capital city of my world is going to be with Judah, Jerusalem. Let's move forward. We've flogged that one seriously too much. Verse 11. Binding his foal unto the vine, and his ascot unto his choice vine. He washed his garments in wine, and his clothes in the blood of grapes. His eyes shall be red with wine, and his teeth white with milk. He's talking about the plenteous blessings, overflowing wealth, overflowing food, overflowing wine. Everything that Judah will want, Judah will get it. Why? Because of Yeshua. In Yeshua, every world, every nation, every country, every people will be done what? Will be blessed. In him, blessings will flow. So when he's talking about Judah here, enjoying himself, is beyond Judah. You see, prophecy looks beyond now, beyond the person that is being told. It's looking at the future. Prophecy, many prophecies look about the future, the time that was to come. So here he's talking about Yeshua. Through him, there will be no lack. There will be no famine. There will be, in fact, wine will flow, food will flow, everything will flow. Life, no misery, no pain. Imagine a life that you will live with no sickness. You will not be thinking of armed robbers coming in your house. You will not be thinking of earthquake. You will not be thinking of thunderbolt. You will not be thinking of pestilence, diseases, coronavirus. You will not think of any. Life that says, enjoy yourself. How do you get that? Covenant way. Follow it tightly. Hold it. Don't look back. Let's look at verse 13. Zebulun, the fifth born, shall dwell at the heaven of the sea, and he shall be for an heaven of ships, and his border shall be unto Zidon. Maybe they are naval people, water, food, everything, whatever that operates in the water or seas, Zebulun will get it. Well, Zebulun is blessed. He will not lack. Issachar is a strong donkey coaching down between two burdens, and he saw that rest was good, and the land the land that it was pleasant, and bowed his shoulder to bear, and became a servant unto tribute. Let's move on. 16. Dan shall judge his people as one of the tribes of Israel. Dan was judge. Dan was, making sure that justice must be done. But at the end of the day, Dan corrupted himself. At the end of the day, Dan even carried idol and all that. Dan shall be a serpent by the way. So as he become the judge and, making sure that justice is seen and done in the land, he will corrupt his way. He will turn to idol. An adder in the path that biteth the horse heels, so that his rider shall fall backward. You want to get justice for you, but he will eat you up. Before you know it, no justice will be done. Trouble. That's one of the. So many things, reasons come the way of these children that made them not to possess the land. They have to be sacked. I have waited for thy salvation, O Yahweh. God, a troop shall overcome him, but he shall overcome at the last. God. But most of African people, God is found amongst them. Trouble, 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 trouble. They will overcome. In this latter days, they will surely overcome. In fact, the children of God are found in Nigeria. That is historical facts lying there. But particularly the eastern part of Nigeria, can see how they have been overwhelmed. But I can see in these latter days, Yahweh is going to give them wings and powers and clutches. They're going to overcome their enemies. Out of Asher, that is the 10th son, his bread shall be fat, and he shall yield royal dainties. Naphtali is a hind let loose. He giveth goodly ways. Naphtali. Okay. Joseph is a fruitful bow. Fruitful bow. Just like saying, out of him, plenty blessings. Remember, in him, the blessings, so many blessings of Israel are established. Joseph, remember the two sons. Manasseh is going to be a multitude of nations. And even Ephraim, the junior one, is going to be the senior one, is going to be greater than Manasseh. So they will not have problem with the blessings of Yahweh pouring in. Even a fruitful bow by a well, whose branches run over the wall. The blessings of Joseph will get to nations, will get to hidden world. It will be an overflowing thing. To get not only for people of Joseph or Israel, it will cut across the people who are close to it, and they will enjoy. Whose branches run over the wall. The archers have sorely grieved him, and shot at him, and hated him. But his bow abode in strength, and the arms of his hands were made strong by the hands of the mighty Yahweh of Jacob. From thence is the shepherd, the stone of Israel. The stone of Israel. The shepherd, the stone of Israel. So the hand of Yahweh is still there. The hand of Yeshua is there. Talk about made a statement there which says the hand of Yahweh. Hand of Yahweh. Who is that hand of Yahweh? Hand of Yahweh. Yeshua is talking about Yeshua here. Do you know that all these blessings, all of them rest in Yeshua at the end of the day? All of them rest in Yeshua. Because Yeshua, is he not the first fruit? Firstborn. He is the firstborn. So everything is being made. Hand of Yahweh rests on who? On Yeshua, the firstborn. At the end of the day, when he comes unto Shiloh, everything is going to be as it is going on until Yeshua comes back, and everything will formally be transferred to him. Everything. So the first fruit, Jacob, you are holding forth now. Manasseh, Ephraim, you are holding forth now. The owner, when he comes forth, he will take it. The hand of Yahweh rest upon him. So Yeshua is going to grab it. The stone of Israel. He is the stone of Israel. Stone of Israel. That tells you whom he's talking about. Stone of Israel. Yeshua. Even by Yahweh of the Father, who shall help thee, and by the Almighty, who shall bless thee with blessings of heaven above, blessings of the deep that lieth under, blessings of the breast and of the womb. The blessings of the Father have prevailed above the blessings of my progenitors unto the utmost bound of the everlasting hills. They shall be on the head of Joseph. Right now, at the moment, Joseph will carry it running down to Ephraim and Manasseh, at the end it will last, and they come to the Shiloh, to the one that it is meant for. And on the crown of the head of him that was separate from his brethren. So Joseph, meanwhile, you possess a lot, carry that lot, continue, because when you hold, you don't forget. When you hold, you don't eat alone. When you hold, you have an open hand. You remember your brothers. You don't remember their sins. You don't remember their iniquities. You give to them. So continue to hold forth. So we are all holding to, Yahweh's either blessings or one thing or the other that he gives to us. It's like talent. Continue to hold this talent until Yeshua comes. He will take them, he will distribute them as he will, and his own kingdom will commence. 27. Benjamin, the last one, shall raven as a wolf. Benjamin is terrible. In the morning he shall devour the prey, and at night he shall divide the spoil. If you don't want to know Benjamin, read Judges, the last few chapters of Judges. You will know who Benjamin is. Very, very powerful, very, very terrible. He's a fighter, he's a killer, he can devastate. All these are the 12 tribes of Israel, and this is it that their father spoke unto them and blessed them. Everyone according to his blessing, he blessed them. Everyone according to his blessing. You must get what you bargain for. You must get, if you are weak, you get weak blessing. If you are strong, you get strength. If you are, in fact, whatever you are, will depict what you get. That is how Yahweh has ordained it. And whatever that is pronounced will come to pass, because it is ordination of Yahweh. Verse 29. And he charged them and said unto them, I am to be gathered unto my people. Bury me with my fathers in the cave that is in the field of Ephron the Hittite. Gathered unto his people, unto the patriarchs, Abraham, Isaac. So he will go the way of them. And he's telling his children, when I pass on, take me to the land of Canaan, where Abraham and Isaac were buried, the patriarchs. In the cave that is in the field of Machpelah, which is before Mamre, in the land of Canaan, which Abraham bought with the field of Ephron the Hittite, for a possession of a burying place. You see, this is the land, that particular portion of burying place, and the place, the Amorites place that Jacob was able to conquer, defeated those. Those are the two plots they had in the land of Canaan. They never had more until when they returned from Egypt into that land and conquered them. There they buried Abraham and Sarah his wife, and they buried Isaac and Rebekah his wife, and there I buried Leah. Leah was buried there. Rachel wasn't buried there, because when they were on transition, they were on move when Rachel died in Ephrata, Bethlehem. So she died there, and we are not told that she was taken away. Why was she not removed? Why Leah? Why? Because this is a burial ground of the family burial ground. Abraham was buried there, Sarah was buried there, Isaac was buried there, Rebekah was buried there, Jacob died, was buried there, Leah was also buried there. Second wife wasn't buried there. That is giving us some message. Marriage of Jacob to 2, 3, 4 wives was accident. Should have been one. Right from beginning, man and woman has been one. One man, one wife. And that holy land is like that. So you find out that the burial proceedings here showed that it's husband and wife, husband and wife, husband and wife, and not husband and wife and concubine. I couldn't see it there. Well, that is another time to listen at that, but I believe Yeshua will let us know what is going on there. Verse 32, the purchase of the field and the cave that is therein was from the children of Heth. And when Jacob had made an end of commanding his sons, he gathered up his feet into the bed and yielded up the bread and was gathered unto his people. So he passed on. After blessing them and bidding them farewell, he died. Now, chapters 48, 49 looks very straightforward story. This is something that transited for many years before Jacob died. It took many years of history of Israel, but it was compressed and summarized in such a way that it looks as if something that happened within an hour or 2 hours or one day. Many years history transpired, but the spiritual truth is what was captured here, and we are led that whatever that Jacob stood for, Joseph stood for, the Israelites, the 12 children of Jacob stood for, at the end of the day, is pointing towards even these later days, particularly when Yeshua, everything will rest on the feet of Yeshua, and then the power of Yeshua, the staff of office of rulership will be handed to him, and the Torah, the law, will be handed to him, and he will be the lawgiver to all nations, to all mankind. Now, chapter 50. Here is Joseph comforting his brothers. Their father had died. They embalmed the father. I want you to read it on your own, but I just want to do summary of it. Now, the embalm, they call it embalmment. The embalm,
Jacob.
Yeah, I think that embalmment, Jacob had it. You see, when somebody died in Egypt and to receive this embalmment, is for the kings, something that is reserved for the king, the princes, and the powerhouse of Israel, Egypt. And if anybody does that, it takes Egypt to mourn several years. I mean, a month or days. Now we see here that when the news got to Joseph alerted Pharaoh, and Pharaoh, the Egyptians, Joseph physicians embalmed Jacob, their father that died, and the news went to Pharaoh, and Pharaoh mobilized his people, and they mourned for him 70 years. Chapter 50, verse 3. That is 70 days. 70 and 10 days. Yeah. 70 days. Egyptians mourn for Jacob. They wept for Jacob. 70 days. Egyptians. That tell you the status of Jacob in the land of Egypt. Jacob, he died. Now, before they took him and buried him and all that, they embalmed him, and Pharaoh has to be told, oh, this is what happened. So the whole Egypt was mobilized, and the Israelites, and for 70 days they mourned for this man. Then after that, they prepared for his burial, in the land. Remember, he told them when he dies, they should take him to land of Canaan and bury him where Abraham, Isaac, and Isaac was buried, so that the will of the Father will be accomplished. Why did he insist the body must be taken to Canaan? Because Egypt wasn't his home. if he will be buried or if he's allowed to be buried in Egypt. Now, the patriarchal inheritance, so to speak, might be having issues, might be having problems. It means the body of Israel, the very Israel, will be resting in Egypt. Where this man is buried is where Israel is going to put their, everything, call their land, call their kingdom, call their government. So he must not be buried in a foreign land. He must not be buried in that land which Yahweh, it's all about Yahweh, where Yahweh did not authorize, because they are foreigners, they are sojourners in the land of Egypt. So there is no need for him to be buried there. And the same thing Joseph told them. Joseph said to his brothers, or the generations that will be coming on, when he dies, please take my body. When you leave Egypt, live with my body. But here, they didn't wait until when they will be living 400 years later, when they will be leaving Egypt, then they will decide to carry Jacob. No, Jacob will be buried immediately. As soon as he dies, he'll be buried. So after they mourned for him 70 days, now Pharaoh was told, and they went. And when they went to land of Canaan, behold, another 10 days was apportioned for mourning for Jacob before he was finally buried. And the Canaanites, when they saw that, they said, no, this man is an exceptional person. And yeah, Jacob was quite an exceptional person. Jacob lived life that Yahweh prepared. Not by himself, not by Jacob's self, but by Yahweh's own choice and Yahweh's own way for him to prepare the way for his children to follow. Yahweh prepared him. There was a place we read, he said he met him in the wilderness and he taught him. And that's the way it went. And he never left that way, and he taught that way to his children. Verse 5, my father made me swear, saying, lo, I die in my grave. So here, Joseph is telling, or has brought the information or message to Pharaoh that his father had died. But one thing, I think he put this together to convince Pharaoh that the father made him to swear, that when he dies, he must do what? He must take his corpse to the land of Canaan. And hearing that, Pharaoh did not hesitate, because this is the wish of the dead. Must be carried out, must not deny him. So Pharaoh has to do everything to get this man down to the, and it's not something you do anyhow or unceremoniously. It is going to take some proceedings. It is going to take some, preparation before this man is going to be taken to the land. In fact, they have to inform the Canaanites. They have to do, the natural protocol has to go back and forth. And because they are going to tell them that their father bought land, their forefather Abraham bought the land. And they have the certificate of occupancy, and they have to present it and show them where the burial place is. And so they'll be allowed and take the corpse there. But the procession was a long one. And Pharaoh said, verse 6, go up and bury thy father according as he made thee swear. He made you to swear. So you have to honor his wish. Verse 7, and Joseph went up to bury his father, and with him went up all the servants of Pharaoh, the elders of his house, and all the elders of the land of Egypt. The whole of Egypt almost ran out to make sure that this man is given a befitting burial. Verse 8, and all the house of Joseph and his brethren and his father's house, only their little ones and their flocks and their herds they left in the land of Goshen. And there went up with him both chariots and horsemen, and it was a very great company. And they came to the threshing floor of Atad, which is beyond Jordan. And there they mourned with a great and very sore lamentations, and he made a mourning for his father 7 days. Everything was referencing to Joseph. He mourned for his father 7 days, as if Joseph was just the only son. Yeah, why the referencing of Joseph here is because Joseph has taken the position of the firstborn. He's taken the position of, and that was his dream. He had 2 dreams, and this dream came to pass. So at the end of the day, that which the father even foresaw came to pass in his life. So that's why everything is revolving around him. Even in Egypt, everything revolved around him. During the famine period, everything revolved around him. The days of plenty, everything revolved around him. Verse 11. And when the inhabitants of the land of Canaanites, the Canaanites, now they have come to bury Jacob there, saw the mourning in the floor of Atad, they said, this is a grievous mourning to the Egyptians. Wherefore, the name of it was called Abel Mizraim, which is beyond Jordan. So they thought that all the people that came were Egyptians. The dead was an Israelite. But at that time, Israel never had a name. They were not known. They were not recognized yet. They have been swallowed by Egypt anyway. Though they were there a little while before they left to Egypt. But it was immaterial. It wasn't as if people left their land. But then Israel has become big. Though not as big as when they finally left that place. Now, they recognize them as Egyptians. Now, do you know, this is why we call Israelites are Africans. Africans are Israelites. In sense of color. In sense of color. In the book of Acts of Apostles, most times they call Apostle Paul black man from Egypt. So here, these Far East people regarded the Israelites, the Jacob family, even as the Egyptians. All of them were looking as one. The Egyptians, the Israelites, they were just like one. So that tells you who we are. Somebody tell you that their Jesus is a white man. That is their Jesus because it's European. It's white. But for us, we are black. Egypt is black. So that's how they saw the people that came to burial. For his sons carried him into the land of Canaan and buried him in the cave of the field of Machpelah, which Abraham bought with the field for a possession of a burying place of Ephron the Hittite before Mamre. And Joseph returned into Egypt after the burial, he and his brethren, and all that went up with him to bury his father, after he had buried his father. And when Joseph's brethren saw that their father was dead, they said, Joseph will peradventure hate us, and will certainly require us all the evil which we did unto him. And they sent a messenger unto Joseph, saying, thy father did command before he died, saying, so shall ye say unto Joseph, forgive, I pray thee, now, and forgive now the trespass of thy brethren and their sin, and they did unto thee the evil. And now we pray thee, forgive the trespass of the servants of Yahweh of thy father. And Joseph wept, and they spoke unto him. Joseph wept, and they spoke unto him. Now, sin unrepented. In fact, every sin keep on revolving and revolting and fighting the heart until you expunge it, until you forgive yourself. Don't ever think that somebody whom you are asking for forgiveness, anything will happen in the spirit. You have to break that jinx of sin that you committed, that you are seeking somebody to forgive you, break it right from yourself, because it starts from the individual. If you don't break it, you will continue to harbor it, you continue to carry it, you continue to live by it, it continue to fight the person. Matthew 6, 12, 14, and 15. Junior, Matthew 6, 12, 14, and 15. This is one, in conclusion of the whole thing, the story of this family. Forgiveness cropped up here. Forgiveness cropped up here. Why is it that it's still lingering? Why is it that it's still lingering? Now, they sold their brother. They first of all thought of shedding his blood. Yahweh averted it. They sold him. They swallowed the money. Now their father had died. They now see dagger hanging on their eyes, that their brother now is going to now dictate how they are going to live their life, whether they are going to go into the grave, or because the brother Joseph had all the power in Egypt, he cannot do or undo. So they were afraid. They sent messenger to Joseph. Remember, whether they made that story up or not, I don't know. Because the Bible didn't say when Jacob made that remark to Joseph, telling Joseph, forgive your brothers. There's a statement that was made somewhere there. He said, Joseph will peradventure hate us, and we will certainly require us all the evil which we did unto him. And they sent a messenger unto Joseph, saying, thy father, that is Jacob, did command before he died, saying, so shall ye say unto Joseph, forgive, I pray thee, now the trespass of thy brethren. I can't remember where Joseph or Jacob made this comment. Forgive your brothers now. Forgive them their sins. But whatever it is, it's only show that his brothers were still carrying that something. And Joseph himself had forgiven them. Whatever was going on in their head, reminding them that he's going to invoke the spirit of unforgiveness to arrest them, to kill them, to destroy them. Bible didn't state, but here they were afraid. Now, I think what is triggering this thing is that dream Joseph hadn't finished. They have to come the second time to bow to Joseph, to submit. That bowing or whatever it is to humble themselves, to completely submit themselves, to say, we are loyal. We are loyal to you. So that must be fulfilled. I think that is what the Bible tried to accomplish, or let us know what transpired here. Read it. Read that Matthew 6.
Matthew 6, 12.
12. Then we go to 14 and 15. Go on.
And forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors.
Forgive us our debt as we forgive our debtors.
And lead us not into temptation, but
lead us not into temptation. Deliver us
from evil.
Mm-hmm.
For thine is the kingdom and the power and the glory forever. Amen.
Then,
for if ye forgive men their trespasses, your heavenly Father will also forgive you.
If you forgive your brothers their trespass, your Father will forgive you. Mm-hmm.
15. But if ye forgive not men
mm-hmm.
their trespasses, neither will your Father forgive your trespasses.
Okay. If you keep it, if you harbor it, your Father will not. Now, this is what makes us covenant people. Covenant people live in forgiveness. And Torah is tied to this issue of forgiveness. Torah is tied here. Now, the condition for you to inherit the land must be that you forgive. And they seek their father's spirit or whatever to tell his brother or their brother that, look, remember what our father said, that you must forgive. So we don't know whether you have forgiven. Have you forgiven us? Now, the reaction of Joseph here showed that his brothers were not listening, or they were living in unbelief. Like when Yeshua was on earth, came to the Jewish people, he spoke to them. At the end of the day, continued to live on unbelief. Irrespective of every reconciliation, everything that Yeshua tried to do, they lived in unbelief until they even killed him. That which they plotted, they did. They killed him. So Joseph was telling them, were they themselves thinking of anything evil? Because something of that will can only crop up when you begin to think of evil. Oh, how can Joseph be the king of Egypt? How can Joseph be only him? Only him. What about us and that? What can we do? Who knows? So they began to kind of recollect what happened in the past and how the small boy has come to rule them. But their life, they were very, very much afraid of their life, that if they don't do something, if anything goes wrong, Joseph will just arraign them and slaughter them, kill them. So they wanted to verify. And Joseph, when he heard this, he wept. And Joseph wept when they spoke unto him. Now, Joseph, would it be that Joseph was weeping because they were repeating this matter in his ears? Because it has happened before, earlier, when the reconciliation was done in chapters 45, 46, and so on. Why this again here? It may be, again, that Joseph had thought of what he would do them. But when this message came, remembering, maybe the father has chipped it to his ears. Don't do anything about unforgiveness. Don't carry unforgiveness. Forgive. Then he wept. But I believe that he wept because these are his own blood brothers. And they had gone through what all of them had experienced. Particularly the hand of Yahweh. He came, the dream he had, everything come into him, overwhelmed him. And he saw that Yahweh was the master that, planned everything, put everything together. It was beyond him. And he was given credit. So that his weeping there can be described as acknowledging the power of Yahweh. Acknowledging that Yahweh is the master of all that transpired in the family. And acknowledging that Yahweh, at the end of the day, is the source of whom he is. So he was overwhelmed. He wept. And his brethren also went and fell down before his face, so that his dream would be accomplished. Fell down before him. And they said, Behold, we be thy servants. And Joseph said unto them, Fear not, for am I in the place of. Sorry, it's asking a question here. And Joseph said unto them, Fear not, for am I in the place of Yahweh? I'm not Yahweh. You don't fall down to me. You don't do whatever you are doing to me. I have forgiven you. It's only Yahweh that you can ask for forgiveness. I have forgiven you. What you are thinking is no longer right. It's not proper. But as for you, you thought evil against me, but Yahweh meant it unto good, to bring to pass as it is this day, to save much people alive. Now, Joseph was seeing the hand of Yahweh in all that transpired. You people meant to kill me. You people meant to destroy me. But Yahweh was ahead of all of you. And here, Yahweh was using me to prepare or preserve life. And life, you people have. So who am I? I'm not Yahweh. Yahweh said you will live. If it is just on human level, those people would have died after their father had died. He would have dealt with them. But Yahweh is in the place to say that can never happen. So here we are recalling what Yeshua said in the prayer he introduced to us, that the condition between us and our Father is to make sure we jettison anything that is iniquity we may be harboring, or else it will deny us access into the kingdom. So when somebody like Joseph, will recall something like this, that this message of Yeshua, I said, no. I have taken it outside me, off my heart, try to do something, to remove it from yourself. Now, therefore, fear ye not. I will nourish you and your little ones. And he comforted them and spoke kindly unto them. And Joseph dwelt in Egypt, he and his father's house. And Joseph lived 110 years. Now, still talking about this forgiving spirit. It takes two parties to tango. It takes two of them. Those that hurt Joseph was always pursuing Joseph. Otherwise, now, when somebody sins and the person is doing nothing about it, particularly when the person is not apologetic, when somebody is not, doing anything to remove it in himself, let alone, taking it away from the person whom he hurt, Yahweh is going to chase that person. Yahweh is going to, because Yahweh require our confession, require us to forgive ourselves and forgive and, apologize or make amends wherever, whomever we have offended. He commands us to do that. He commands us to confess, commands us to forsake, commands us to remove all those things and make peace. That's what he commands us to do. But when somebody hold that to himself and say nothing will happen, and the person that is hurt, because the person chasing the person, if the person that is chasing is being hurt stands up and speak any word, it can stick. It can become a curse. And that's why it is dangerous. So you must avoid, anything that will bring unforgiving spirit. Anything that will, push it into us, we must remove. In as much as we are professing to be assembly of Yahweh, we must make sure we check that out. So here we see that Joseph, within this Egypt environment, speedy enough, Bible is concluding that Joseph lived 110 years in Egypt. And Joseph saw Ephraim's children of the third generation, the children also of Machir, the son of Manasseh, were brought up upon Joseph's knees. And Joseph said unto his brethren, I die, and Yahweh will surely visit you and bring you out of this land unto the land which he swore to Abraham, to Isaac, and to Jacob. So here Joseph is recalling also what the father told him to his young ones and those that were with him at that time. And says, as soon as he dies, they should package his body, embalm it, and when they are leaving, he didn't say they should take him ahead of time to go and bury him. No. They will carry his body when they are leaving, whether they are to stay the next 200 years or 300 years or the 400 years, whichever. But at that time, it could be, maybe it may be remaining, say, about 2 or 250 years. They should take his body along. So they embalmed the body to the point that the body had to stay till all those years. And Joseph took an oath of the children of Israel, saying, Yahweh will surely visit you, and ye shall carry up my bones from hence. So Joseph died, being 110 years old, and they embalmed him, and he was put in a coffin in Egypt. So they embalmed his body, left his body somewhere, preserved his body for that long. And when Moses came on board and Yahweh was to take them away, they took his body. And when they got into the land of Israel, they buried him. But they had to stay 4 years. How many years? 40 years in the wilderness. So they couldn't bury his body until after that 40 years. They take the. mean, that kind of technology, I don't know, the body was embalmed and kept in tight for years and years and years and years. And that was it. Now, all that is to show that none of Yahweh's seeds, seed carriers here, you have Abraham, sorry, you have Abraham, you have Isaac, you have Jacob, that is Israel, and you have Joseph. All these are called patriarchs. They are called patriarchs. None of these died out. Stayed or had their remains buried outside. They were buried in the land of buried in Canaan. Why? Why? Why is it that this 1, 2, 3, 4, they are called patriarchs? Remember, Joseph had become first. This first. None were buried outside this land, this place. This is place of promise, which is Israel. None of them were buried outside. Why?
They are strangers and they must go home.
Yeah, for them to be buried outside, it means they are strangers, quite all right. For them to stay outside, it means this seed, because it's not stopping from one person, it's from this person to this person, down to this person, down to it's a handover, it's a baton. The staff, if you like, call it staff of office. Staff of office was resting from one to the other, from this person to this person to this person to this person. So if any of them had died outside and was buried there, that staff of office would have been buried there. The seed wouldn't have proceeded any longer. It's a spiritual thing. So Yahweh continued to ensure that the firstborn must be taken. Because we didn't hear about Reuben. Reuben must have died in Egypt and buried in Egypt, isn't it? Simeon, others, even Judah. But what followed them back home was the name, each of the family, the name, each of the family unit, they have their children that came back. So all of them were represented, came back, and bear that now up to today. But the individual souls, persons, Yahweh is choosing that hold his staff of office, they were brought back home. That is very, very important. All right, we rest Genesis 1 to 50 here. That is the end of it anyway. So I don't know whether I have any question. Any question, comments, observation?
Yeah.
I will love you, Yahweh.